What's going on, party people? Welcome to episode 21 of the Culture 316 podcast. I am one of your hosts and producers, Jordan Nahisi.
And I'm one of your, I am your co-host, Mo. What is up, people?
Jesus, we're getting
Right?
started off hot. But anyway, as per usual, if you are watching this on YouTube, be sure to give us a like, a comment, a subscribe. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify podcasts or wherever you're streaming your podcasts, rate the podcast, give it 5 stars, and be sure to join our Discord as well, which is in the link in the bio. There is so much that has happened since our last show. So we're going to get right into it. So first things first, Sami Zayn is back at it again with his fundraisers for his Sammy for Syria initiative. This time he has a shirt on Pro Wrestling Tees, which is available for 2 weeks. They went on sale on December 9th. So 2 weeks from that, I think, is December 23rd. So essentially Christmas Eve. He has a shirt, the My Dog shirt. And all of the proceeds are going, 100% of the profits are going to the SammyForSyria.com initiative, and that will help fund a mobile clinic that will operate on the ground in Syria and deliver primary medical aid to displaced civilians impacted by the war. Am I reading that description from Pro Wrestling Tees? Absolutely. For those of you who don't know, Sami Zayn is a Canada native who has Syrian ethnicity. And I think that this is stuff that he's been doing for a while, and I think it's really, really cool and ethical. So, Mo, I just wanted to know what your impressions and thoughts were on Sami Zayn's initiative and his humanitarian works and efforts.
He's always been like that. Like one thing I love about Sammy is that he's very consistent. He definitely likes to stand for what's right, and he's definitely again. I just love the fact that despite the fact he's a star and you can do anything with your fucking money, he always chooses to do humble things with it, with his platform and with his money. So I love what he's doing for Syria. I think it's awesome. I think it's amazing. Thank you, Sammy. Just thank you for everything you do, man. You're just amazing.
I concur with that statement. Sami Zayn is not only one of the most entertaining pro wrestlers, he's also one of the most ethical. He's always been consistent. He's always taken a stand for things that he's believed in. For those of you who know or don't know, like anytime they go to Crown Jewel, he's never there. And it's because he doesn't want to do it. He doesn't stand with what's happening over there. And I think that that's very, very admirable considering um, that he could have been making a lot of money and could have been getting a lot of those bonuses that a lot of the other talents get. So I just shout outs to Sami Zayn for being consistent, for being thorough, for being ethical, and for his humanitarian works. For those, once again, who are watching or listening, go to Pro Wrestling Tees, that My Dog shirt. There have been so many wrestlers who have already come out and have worn the shirt. Damage Control was on Twitter. All of them had the shirt on. Becky Lynch wore the shirt. There have been a bunch of other wrestlers who have supported, and I think that this is something really, really important and something that we as a wrestling community need to support and get behind as well. So buy the shirt, get it now. But we're going to move on. So there were 2 big events that happened this past Saturday. One was Ring of Honor Final Battle, and the other one was NXT Deadline. And I kind of wanted to go over the takeaways that we both got from both shows. So starting with Ring of Honor Final Battle 2022, it was the last Ring of Honor pay-per-view of the year. And I wanted to know kind of some of the highlights or the takeaways that you got from it.
Oh Jesus! I think everyone has to agree that the biggest takeaway was watching the Briscoes versus FTR. Like that match was a lot more gruesome than what I expected it to be. Like I expected them to tear down the house. Don't get me wrong, but within like I don't know the first minute, bro, I was watching off of a stream and my shit glitched. Next thing you know, one of them's already bleeding. I think everyone's bloody by the end of it. Hell, the referee got bladed, bro. The referee did a blade job. Like the match was insane. It was over the top. There was spots that like literally just had me just cringing. That whole spot where they done tucked the dog collar and then had one of the Briscoes flying over, I think into like a bed of chairs or some shit. That made me cringe. I think he went through a table another time. I was like, bro, like, does no one care about their backs and their necks here? Like the match was amazing. I was just like, concerned. I was really concerned
Right.
for these men's lives. I was just like, damn, I'm gonna see a casualty by the end of this. But
Mm-hmm.
it was great. The only thing that shocked me was who went over. I expected since FTR is coming with all these belts that they would try to keep, they would try to keep a momentum with them since we do see them on AEW. I thought it was odd booking to have the Briscoes go over, and I think that's their second match, right? And they
Yeah.
lost twice to on the Briscoes, so I thought the booking was odd for that. Do you think there's a reasoning behind that?
So I think that I think FTR won the first match. I think that's how they won the Ring of Honor tag team titles because if you remember, the Briscoes kind of got like a quiet release from Ring of Honor and they went to Impact for a little bit. And but FTR I think won the belts from them a year prior at the previous final battle. And so I think it was a kind of like a full circle moment. I think that like I thought it was a shocking decision because obviously the Briscoes have been under fire for you know I'm not even going to get into it. Actually, no, I'm going to get into it. Just like the racist stuff and all that. Um, they were under fire, and I think that Warner had a problem with doing things relating to the Briscoes because of their reputation. And so I thought that they were going to keep the belts off of the Briscoes and try to keep the Briscoes away from Ring of Honor for that matter. So I was very shocked about like
Right.
that little booking decision. But yeah, I actually don't know why they went with that decision. Great match, great ending. I'm not complaining at all, but I felt like on a PR standpoint that they were going to try and not put the belts on the Briscoes because of their past, and we don't know what the resolution has been with that. Um, but did you have any other takeaways or
You
highlights
think Tony
from
would ever sign them?
to AEW? Probably not. To Ring of Honor, probably. Um, but that all really depends, in my opinion, on the TV situation, right? Like based on where they sign or the TV deals, I feel like Tony Khan wants to have the Briscoes signed to a Tony Khan wrestling property. However, if they're trying to do a TV deal with Warner, they're probably not going to want to pick up Ring of Honor as a television product if the Briscoes are signed to Ring of Honor. So I think that it really kind of depends on the TV situation, which I assume is either being worked out or will work itself out in the future. Um, but did you have any other like takeaways or highlights from that event or?
Oh yeah, definitely. Because okay, so everyone knows that on Twitter I stay shaming Wheeler because I can't stand him. I think he's the most unintimidating wrestler I had ever seen. He gives me very like punchable face vibes. As with Sammy Guevara, I just find him just annoying. Like great in the ring, he just is annoying from the second he opens up his mouth on the mic. I'm just disinterested. And he had this a match with Daniel Garcia, and I was trying to look up what the match name was because it slipped my mind. But they
Pure
had
Championship.
stipulations essentially,
Yeah.
and sorry,
It was the Pure Rules
do you have the
match
match
for
name?
the Pure Rules for the Pure title. So
Yeah, and they had like this brilliant fun match that I never seen before where you if you use up all your rope breaks, you're kind of fucked and you just got to rely off the fact like can you withstand, can you get out of this submission hold if they put you into submission hold, if you get pinned or whatnot, can you like reverse your way out of it. It was fun for me as a viewer. Like again, I never seen that type of match before. Um went over because of just how like entertaining that match was. Like I had like my full attention because I didn't know who it could go to. There were so many ways to book a match like that. And I
mm-hmm.
never seen that in wrestling. So that to me had to be like my second favorite match on the card. Like again, like in the beginning, I was like, oh, it's a Wheeler match, fuck that shit. But then I'm like, oh, Daniel Garcia's in there. All right, let me just give him like a few minutes of my time. But I was fully like invested. Like, and I wasn't expecting Wheeler to go over because I think that by the end of it, he lost all his rope breaks or some shit like that, and then he just pulls some out of his ass and won. I was like, whoa, this is fun. Like, I would like to see that match concept elsewhere. I would like to see that in AEW or WWE. So I thought that was fun, fresh. Um, thirdly, Athena winning. I I missed half the match, but I did see half of it towards the ending, and I thought that was amazing that Athena finally got something because I feel like it's been long overdue since she had gold, and I don't count that little title run she had in NXT. I don't think anyone cared for it, and it's because essentially no one cared for those NXT belts, and I don't think they care for the tag team belts over there for the females. I feel like it's a non-factor. You know what I mean? But like I like her as a singles competitor. a lot. So I love the fact that they gave her something to work with. Um, so that was fun. That was good for me. That was good for me. The other match that I liked too, despite the fact that the logic got pissed me off, was Keith Lee and Swerve versus, I forgot their names, but it was a
Shane
big dude.
Taylor and I
And
forgot. Yeah,
yeah, like that match was actually really fun. I got a little more context from other people that I think it was Shane Taylor, that's the bigger guy.
yeah.
Him and Keith Lee used to be tag team buddies or something. 'Cause I was trying to understand why was the crowd like getting excited when they were in the ring for 5 seconds and then they tagged their partners in. And then when I saw them like moving with each other, I'm like, oh, this is a fun match. Like it gave you a little bit of like everything. You had some big man spots. You had the smaller spots with like Swerve, and then the other guy's like a MMA. At least it looked like he was like built like an MMA fighter or something. So it had given me a lot of variation. Yes, the logic got pissed me off. I'm just like, bro, didn't y'all just like beef 2 weeks ago and split on AEW pay per view? Why are y'all tag teaming? That pissed me off. That still pisses me off. However, the match itself was really fucking good. I loved it. To be honest, I went in there with less expectations for ROH. I came out thinking, damn, like, what the fuck is NXT gonna do? What are they going to do? I saw nobody talking about Deadline. There was no anticipation. No one was hyping it up. It was dry. Timeline dry. But everyone was going in about that Briscoe match and stuff like that. So I was just like, damn, Triple H better think of something. Something. So we're gonna get into that afterwards. But what was your whole take on the ROH pay per view?
So I kind of agree with everything that you just said. I think that another big thing for me was Athena, I think, was like the first time where there was like an AEW to Ring of Honor storyline where there was a satisfactory payoff, meaning that like
Mm-hmm.
this all started with Athena losing to Jade, right? And then you saw her go into dark, and then she turned heel and then became more aggressive. And then Mercedes called her out, and then Mercedes and Athena had the match, and Athena won. So there's payoff. There was a root to the story, there was a climax, and there was a resolution. I thought that that was great. I feel like if Tony does that more, I would just really, really enjoy it. If you're going to bring talent from AEW to Ring of Honor, there needs to be some form of payoff or some type of character change or something. There needs to be some form of satisfactory payoff, and I think that that was the case for Athena. As far as the Swerve Keith Lee match, I got the logic. Swerve wanted the chance to turn on Keith the way that Keith turned on Swerve, meaning he wanted to be the ability to kind of walk out the way that Keith kind of walked out on him, just so that he can hurt him as much as Keith hurt him. So I get it, because now the next time they get in the ring, it's definitely going to be on the terms of the beginning of their feud. So I felt like that was a good way to kind of establish that and to kind of give a little bit of nuance and layer to Swerve's character. Obviously, the Briscoes match was the highlight of the night. And it sucks because like there was a whole like there were so many things that were going on that were just as like intriguing. For example, Brian Cage and the Embassy winning the 6-man tag titles, right? You had Jericho and Cesaro, which we didn't even get into. There was a whole world title match where Jericho tapped out to Cesaro, and like that was a big deal as well. So now Cesaro is now the Ring of Honor World Champion. Daniel Garcia lost the pure title to Wheeler. So now the Blackpool Combat Club is they're back to having championship gold, which was a big takeaway. But that Briscoes match was so gruesome and so good that like I think that people forgot all those other things happened. But it's going to be very interesting to kind of see what happens next. Because and we're going to get to it later in the show because Tony Khan has some ROH TV announcements, and I'm very, very intrigued to see where they go. But we're moving on to the second show of the day, which was NXT Deadline. Even though it was on social media the less popular show, there were a lot of interesting things that happened. But I wanted to know kind of your take on your takeaways from NXT Deadline. What were some standout moments to you?
Okay, so going in there, I don't want to say I had no expectations, but like this was basically the test dummy, the guinea pig to see will this stick or not in replacement to War Games since that's been transferred over to the main roster. Um, and I felt as though, like, first going in seeing the females and then the males Soul Survivor match. At first, when I saw the females on the list, I wouldn't say that I was completely disinterested, but I didn't expect them to show out the way that they were showing out. And what I loved about both their matches between like the males and the females was that they both gave you two completely different acts going on. Like
Mm-hmm.
with the female Soul Survivor, yes, it's 25 minutes long. It didn't feel like 25 minutes. It actually felt like much faster because there was so much going on inside. So when it came to like the females compared to like the males, I noticed that the females spend more time outside the pod and they only had one woman normally in the pod, but they still had so much going on, the camera changing all over the place. I thought it was great. I thought the right person did go over. The only thing that is my biggest critique about the show is how Kiana was robbed of having at least one submission or pin. That really pissed me off. I was just like, if you have to go out, if you have to like rethink about who really put on the show out of all the women, Kiana. There's been clips shared of Kiana, her doing flips, her doing locks, her just showing off her athleticism. You know what I mean? Like, I think a lot of people by the end of it, even if she didn't win, there was a payoff for everyone in there, but especially Kiana. I don't think people were paying much mind to her. And like, yes, Roxanne won and she rightfully won. It only made sense because they have this um feud going on still with her and Cora Jade that's supposed to be long term. You know what I mean? And we watched her head spin. The girl that she literally left, turned heel on, you know what I mean, has gotten the championship before her. The one thing she's been not even the champion, the opportunity to go win a championship and then later on go get it. But we're gonna get into why she got it later on.
Yeah.
It was just, yeah, I liked it a lot. I thought it was fun. I thought it was interesting. Um, Compared to the men was more slower. It was more methodical, but there was more storytelling going on with the men's.
Mm.
Especially with Grayson Waller. If I didn't respect that man before, I especially respect him after watching that match. He gave me complete Edge vibes. This is not me being just because I'm an Edge mark. It's just like he's such an opportunist dickhead, and he went about everything in such the most logical way. Like if you were playing a video game, he got the highest amount of submissions or pinfalls that you needed. And then he looked at the clock and said, fuck that. Why am I gonna keep wrestling? I'm gonna dodge all you motherfuckers. And he ran. I'm like, yo, that's the exact thing I would do if I was in a video game. I love it. I love when wrestling is logical.
Right.
I loved it. The storytelling was great. I like how they had all the men literally neck and neck, except for one. Who was the person that was dead last? Who just didn't have a chance?
Axiom.
Forgot who it was.
Axiom.
Yeah, Axiom, which he needs to change that name. It sounds like a chemistry term or something. Is it a chemistry term? Like, what the fuck is an axiom?
Like a element on the periodic table. It does. It does give me those
It,
vibes.
yeah, like that's such a weird name, and I did not like his entrance. Can I just talk shit about it? What the fuck was up with this whole fake ass Flash shit going on, where he was acting like he was moving fast, and then like bitch,
I liked it. I
that part
liked it.
that was the worst. I'm not sure if that was the first time he ever debuted. I'm assuming he was on the show before that to get on the Soul Survivor fucking match card. But it was my first time watching. I was like, yo, what is this entrance? Like, it's like the exact opposite of like the slow mo entrance that they would have with Mandy or they had with John Morrison. They just had this man fake acting like the Flash, like he's in many places, and then they skipped him walking down to the ramp because they knew that that'd be a logic gap for him.
Mhm.
And his entrance. They just can't cut. They did a camera cut to the ring with him still doing the fast shit just for him to be in slow motion in real time during the match. It was just throw out the gimmick for the love of God. Throw it out. He's a great in-ring competitor. I will give him that.
Very true.
He intrigued me in the ring, but that whole packaging of him I was like, like no, 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 toss it out, toss it out. But did the right person win? Yes, I think that it only made sense that since we gave it to a baby face for the females, that a male had to win.
A heel,
So
yeah.
not another male. That a heel had to win for the males. That that was good. That was perfect because it tells two different stories moving on with both divisions or both people that were contenders. And yeah, we're gonna get into what happened with the girls, but at least more storytelling when you give it to a heel. It always does.
Right.
It always does. So that was great. And then we had some matches outside of that. The first one that came to my mind was the main event with Apollo and Braun Breaker, and it's because my brain can't seem to turn off that awkward camera angle we got of Apollo
And
where he
the
had the crazy eyes.
that
Yeah,
I don't know what that was.
like it looked like he was in the middle of an exorcist or something. I was like, what is happening here? And I low key wanted Apollo to win because I love Braun Breaker. I think he's great. I thought the feud was
Same.
a little bit lazy of a setup. It was awkward because you have a 25-year-old, and I'm assuming Apollo's in his 30s or whatnot. Y'all had this weird setup of these young men going fishing and stuff like that. I was just like, they're young. What young people are going fishing? Everything thought it was weird. The whole setup with them feuding was weird and lazy, but the match itself showed out. I just would have preferred if, like I said, Apollo would have went over just simply because what more does Braun Breaker like need to do in NXT? I don't know. Like I don't know who they're trying to set up besides Grayson Waller. So, but didn't they already come in contact with each other? If
With
I'm not
Grayson Waller
mistaken.
and Braun.
Did
I'm not
they have a
complete.
1v1 yet?
I'm not sure. I'm not completely sure. I think that they did, but I think that it was either before Braun was champion, before Grayson was like really established. So
Okay.
it was
I
either
guess. So
or.
they've been okay, because I just feel like they've been spending a lot of time with this whole Grayson Waller thing, and he lost me at some point. But after what he did, in that Soul Survivor match, I would actually love to see him, and I would love to see like a heel champion because now we got two babyface champions. Which I'm not saying makes the show boring, but you do need to have some balance here.
Hmm.
So it leads me to think that next pay per view, Braun's definitely like losing in some shape, way, or form because like you kind of have to now. What was the other two matches
New Day versus Pretty
from
Deadly.
Deadline?
New Day versus Pretty Deadly, and
Oh,
Isla Dawn versus Alba Fire.
that was he. That was he. Actually, if it weren't for the Soul Survivor, that would have been my favorite match. The New Day versus Pretty Deadly. That was fun. That was fun as shit. And I thought that it made them look good. And mind you, I wasn't really high on Pretty Deadly. I didn't really care for them. But the New Day, they're they're in my opinion one of the greatest tag teams out there. They always manage to bring the best qualities out of their competitors, and they most definitely show that out with Pretty Deadly. They had amazing chemistry. There were some funny parts in the match. There were some serious parts in the match. But ultimately, I did think that the belts did go to the right people. I see a lot of like flack on social media about people being upset about the New Day having them because it's just like, well, the New Day always has the belts. Why do they have to have, belts in NXT? I feel like that's good because NXT is still underneath reconstruction. All right.
Hmm.
It's been having a bit of a personality mishap over the last year. So I feel like since they're underneath construction and now they went from bouncing back and forth between treating like a developmental brand or a 1.5 brand or whatever, you know what I mean? Now that they're treating it like a tertiary brand now, I feel like it's good to actually bring talents that we regularly see that are mainstream to NXT to bring some importance and some legitimacy, not only to the belts, but like get some viewers to come over and start watching NXT. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Um, and I feel like when it comes to the tag teams down there, they aren't bad. I wouldn't say
Right.
that they're bad, but I think what they're probably missing is I feel like what they're missing down there is that they don't have any storylines for the tag teams that make you care. Like they have a lot of interesting characters or whatnot, but they don't really have like any substance. Like I don't know how to explain it. It's missing something. Like do
Mm.
you see what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
some ingredient that is missing. Do you know what it is?
I think
I'm watching it. I don't get it, but it made sense when the New Day came down, and it felt like there was a missing piece, and they came and fixed it.
they were
But
missing
I can't make it into words.
they were missing star power, and they were
Yes.
missing star power and tag team quality and depth. So they have good, like, for what NXT 2.0 was going for as far as being going back to developmental, the tag teams, okay, cool. They were what they were, they are what they are, it's fine. But if you're going to a
Yeah.
tertiary brand, something that's comparable to SmackDown or Raw, think of NXT when it was 1.0 and who they had at their disposal.
Hmm.
You had Undisputed Era, you had FTR, you had DIY, you had Authors of Pain, you had Imperium. NXT used to have one of the deepest tag team divisions in the world of any brand. Raw, SmackDown, AEW, New Japan, a lot of great tag teams were in NXT. And then on top of that, the stories that were behind them and the match qualities that they like, FTR and DIY in Toronto is a banger, all-time classic. But I feel like
Period.
now that NXT is reestablishing themselves as a primary brand, you have to increase the star power of the tag teams in that division. You have to increase the depth, and you have to fill that division up with quality teams, because you need foil for the up and coming teams. You need something for them to go up against. So I think that the New Day brings all of that. The New Day brings prestige. The New Day brings quality. The New Day brings depth. And I feel like there's a lot of good stories that they can tell with the tag teams down there. But back to you. And
No, you could. If, I mean, I know you had a lot to say about the New Day, and you had a lot to say about the other matches. I
all
don't
right.
want
So
to go on a ramble, so we could just go tit for tat with this.
I'll go with my little highlights and takeaways. So I do believe that Deadline is probably going to be a staple NXT pay-per-view moving forward, because the Deadline match was fantastic. I loved it. It had the it it was very engaging. It was very, very captivating. It did not bore me for a second. And the moment that it felt like something was like things were slowing down, a new entrant would come in, or somebody would get pinned, or somebody would submit, and somebody would have to go into the penalty box. And I feel like between the two women and men's matches, we were able to see the stories that can be told, right? You know, you have a Roxanne, you had like the women, and they were kind of all tied up at one. And then it really just kind of came down to the last second. And then you had a Grayson Waller, and, you had a Grayson Waller who, not only went up a couple pinfalls, but now had a strategy as far as how to navigate the rest of the match so that he didn't really have to work, but nobody else caught a pinfall. So there are so many ways that a story can be told through that Deadline match. And I think that that's what I was looking for. And I think that we're going to see um more of these matches going forward, and I think this is going to be a staple. Now, the whole thing with Kiana James, right? I believe that the fact that she had a standout performance and no pinfalls is going to be the thing that develops her character, because now we want to see her win. Now we want to see her more. Had she gotten a pinfall, I don't think that we would have had that factor, because it's like, okay, she got a pinfall like everybody else, so she's cool. But like the fact that she didn't get a pinfall, it's like almost in a way she kind of lost. And now that further develops her character. And I feel like because she had such a great performance and no pinfalls, I think that gives us something to watch for in the next year. So that next Deadline, we hope that she's in the match and we hope that she wins it, because it's like
I like that. Wow.
last year she didn't have any pinfalls. So now we want to see her win the whole thing, because we know what she can do in the ring. So then there's that. As far as the other matches, Isla Dawn, Alba Fire, good match. Good match. I don't know what they're going to do with Alba Fire now, but I think that they need to turn her heel. I think that that's the next big step, because you lose the title, you lose to another top heel in the division, and that top heel, or that heel that she lost to, wasn't even really in line for a title shot. Roxanne was in line for a title shot. And so now it just puts her further down the pecking order. So it's like, how is she going to, you know, sustain kind of a level in that division if she's losing so much? Um, And I feel like she needs a little bit of a character change. She needs a little bit of a heel turn because she's been the good girl for so long and it's gotten her nowhere. And I think that this is the perfect time for her to turn heel because we know what Kaylee Ray could do as a heel. Well, Alba Fire. We know what she can do as a heel. She was incredible in NXT UK as a heel. So that was a
Oh
little bit
yeah,
of
she
what I
pissed
was.
me off in that Tony Storm match. When Tony
Yeah.
lost the belt to her, I was pissed at her.
Yeah.
I hate that move
Yo.
for a whole
Cats
year.
hated her. Like, but that shows you how much heat that she can draw, and she didn't have to go with the lowest hanging fruit. In addition to that, here's what I will say. I felt like the whole Apollo Crews moment didn't make sense if he didn't win. Why would you sell us on a character change if his character change wasn't going to lead him to a outcome that was going to benefit him? That did nothing. That did absolutely nothing. Him going and him losing just made him look dumber because it's just like, bro really did all of that. Bro got woke in the middle of the match to lose in the match. Like if you're gonna lose if you're gonna go that route, win the match.
Got woke
Have
in the
him
middle
win
of
the
the match.
match. It needs. I feel like pivotal moments like that need a payoff, right? Because like now, what is he gonna do? Is he gonna go into every other match and it's like, but it's like, you know what happened last time that happened? Yeah, he lost the last time that happened. So why am I fearing, or why am I like getting like ominous if his eyes get big and he turns serious if the last time he turned serious he didn't win the match? So I just felt like there were things that they could have done to make that better, and I feel like Apollo could have won that match if the whole idea was for him to have a drastic character change or for him to have another side to him. Like it, that to me was dumb, and I normally don't call stuff dumb, but
Yeah.
that was just dumb. But yeah, those are my little NXT takeaways, and our those are our NXT, yeah, those are our NXT deadline takeaways. But we want to know what y'all feel about it, so let us know in the comments below. But moving on, so shortly after the Ring of Honor Final Battle show, there was a Final Battle media scrum where Tony Khan made a Ring of Honor television announcement. He said that Ring of Honor TV will be available on Honor Club as a standalone service for $9.99 a month. And he cited that there will be multiple AEW, Ring of Honor, and New Japan Pro Wrestling crossovers. Um, do you believe, I wanted to know, do you believe that this move has anything to do with not receiving a television deal, or do you think that something big is on the way?
Mm, I think I think that they're trying to still get people to care more about ROH.
Got to get
So
close to the
I
mic.
feel like by lumping them together. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm over here in the back. I feel like yeah, word. I feel like there was a lot of disinterest with ROH, obviously up until the pay per view, and I feel like they set that up on purpose. Like, all right, it didn't really. I feel like Tony Khan kind of realized that it was a bit of a failed experiment with him trying to push the ROH titles and all that stuff on the AEW program. And I felt like, all right, let's give them their own pay per view. Let's tear the house down with that pay per view, and let's just lump it together with what the crowd knows and where these people were pulled from. The mainstream promotions. And I feel like the same way we kind of fell in love with like the WWE network and how if it's anything like the WWE network, I feel like it's brilliant because a lot of people like had a I explain. I feel like they had a bit of like an attachment to it, being able
Mm-hmm.
to have access to watch any of the matches that they wanted to watch, and the way the WWE Network used to let you like pinpoint parts in the match that you could just skip to and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
There's just a lot of like accessibility as a fan through like the WWE Network. So if they're trying to mirror what they're doing over there, I feel like that's kind of smart to just lump them together for now. They'll be able to, I guess, track down what people are tuning into, and
Mm-hmm.
this maybe just down the line when they could get like their numbers up with the interest, they could work out getting another deal. Cause I feel like again, they definitely left quite an impression with what they did on Saturday. So I don't I don't want to say like anything was a fulfilled experiment. I just feel like he's trying like a little detour over here.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know. I'm still streaming, bitch. I ain't paying no 9.99. But what is what is your take on this?
I'm gonna make that into a shirt. Um, so I think that here's my thing. I feel like over the past year, there's been speculation about a possible Ring of Honor television deal. And I feel like they may have gotten offers or they may not have, but I feel like they may have gotten offers and they just never got the right deal or what Tony Khan believed to be fair for what he was bringing to the table with Ring of Honor. And
Mhm.
because of that, the deal didn't work out, and that's part of one of the reasons why I think he was comfortable with letting the Briscoes win the tag titles, because now he doesn't really have, as of right now, he doesn't really have anybody to kind of adhere to or listen or to respond to that would tell him, hey, those guys need to be off the brand. So now that he has that flexibility, I think that that's kind of a sign that he does not have a TV deal in place. However, I do think that something big is on the way, because if you know, I pay attention to a lot of the stuff that's happening with media and wrestling outside of WWE as well. I do know that AEW Dynamite and Rampage is available for streaming on New Japan's streaming site, which is New Japan World. And I feel like because New Japan has a US product with New Japan Strong, we can possibly see a partnership between New Japan Strong and Honor Club within the near future. In addition to that, I also believe that there are things that are going to be happening over the next couple of months that are really going to shake the room. There have been, obviously, like Kenny Omega is going to be working Wrestle Kingdom. FTR is going to be working Wrestle Kingdom. And there have been rumors of Tanahashi and Naito possibly working the Seattle show for Dynamite in early January. And so I think that number one, we're starting to see the AEW New Japan Pro Wrestling partnership really start to blossom and take full effect. And I believe that if New Japan and AEW are going to have a blossoming partnership, Ring of Honor is naturally going to be involved. So I think that in the near coming months, Honor Club is going to be a lot more valuable than it was when it was just a Ring of Honor thing, because we're going to see a little bit of everything on Honor Club. You're going to have the Ring of Honor tape library, which speaks for itself. You're going to have um, you're going to have original programming from ROH. You're probably going to have some New Japan programming. And then you're also going to have AEW stars probably appear on both products. So I think that we're going to start seeing kind of like that threefold of superstar of brands on this platform. And I think that it's going to make it extremely valuable compared to where it was before. And considering what we also heard about a certain someone possibly showing up in New Japan, I think that this is going to benefit them very well in the long run. But moving on from that, because man, PW Insider last week, literally, we dropped the show last Friday, and then this news came out, and I was tight because I wanted to talk about it. But Pro Wrestling Insider reported that Mercedes Varnado, aka Sasha Banks, will be appearing at New Japan Pro Wrestling's Wrestle Kingdom 17. This is huge. This is monumental. This is iconic. Um, I wanted to know what your impressions of Sasha Banks, Mercedes Monet, whatever you want to call her, about her possible appearance in New Japan's biggest event of the year and what this means for her career. Is she going to be is she going to be a Japan girl full time? Is she going to go back to WWE? What do you think is happening? What's going on?
Obviously the news caught me off guard. Because Sasha is for two things. She is definitely yes for herself because she understands her self-worth and what like she brings to the table as a pro wrestler, especially as a black women's pro wrestler. But she's also here for wrestling in general. And anywhere she touches is going to become gold. Any crop of like soil that she touches is going to just grow and flourish with Sasha Banks there. But one thing about Sasha is she's gonna go where the money goes. And I was reading reports about how she's only signed for like that date or maybe a couple dates because they allegedly didn't have the funds that she is requesting because she wants to get paid a hefty amount. From one report I saw with WWE, I mean, she want to get paid like Brock Lesnar. And when I checked Brock Lesnar's net worth, not net worth, his WWE salary, it was like $12 million or something as of 2022. And I think Sasha's net worth is 3 million when I checked, and then her salary from 2021 or 2022 was $240,000, which I thought was vastly underpaid for the amount of like stuff that she puts her body through and the bumps, putting people over, constantly being screwed over. I could see why she left. I honestly thought she was getting paid more, like at least $1 million. So that really threw me off that I saw that amount. Um, but going back to my original point, I love this for her. I know that she's for women and she's for pro wrestling. She definitely like respects Joshi wrestlers, but I always see her training with them, so it didn't throw me off too much that she went over there. But it's it goes to show you how big of a star is that she literally just been gone all these months and now she's popping up in Japan's WrestleMania equivalent, and she is going to be the star. And like the thing about Sasha is that she has such like a large dedicated fan base that's willing to go wherever she goes. Like the crew is the equivalent of the Barbs when it comes to Sasha. You know what I mean? Um and I don't think we ever seen this before when it came to any like female talent where like fans are in love so in love with a talent that no matter what they do, what business venture they go on, they're clocking it and they are here to support it. So, if anything, I feel like WWE probably got their ears up like a dog on high alert. Like, oh my God, we might be losing her if they like cut her the right check. Because not for nothing, there's a lot of people I know who don't watch New Japan because it's very much different than the format of WWE. But there's people who love Sasha so much, they're willing to tune into that and give them all those ratings and keep up just because it's not even so much about New Japan, it's about Sasha. But that's the thing, that's what they're thinking in Japan. Let's get the biggest star that's in WWE and going to be one of the biggest mainstream acts elsewhere. Because again, our girl's modeling, she got a CBD business and stuff like that. Like she doing everything. I don't even know what else she's doing. I just know she got a list going. Her resume is ever growing and ever extending. But she is the star power over there. So people are coming over thinking that I'm just gonna watch Mercedes, and you might just get a whole bunch of new fans that are just like, wow, like the rest of the show actually wasn't bad. You know what I mean? I could watch some of this, or this might be better than WWE. If Sasha goes, then hell, I'm gonna go and I'm just get with this. There's so much risk that comes with this, and it's just mind-boggling to me that WWE, excuse me, someone's calling me, they need to not. When it comes to whatchamacallit, when it comes to Sasha and WWE, it's just mind-boggling to me that she just wouldn't pay the woman wherever the hell she wanted, because you guys have the money, y'all have the fun. I don't see why you wouldn't pay her at this point with literally what she's done in the empire she's built away from WWE. It's just mind-boggling because I mean, again, wherever she goes, like that company's going to blow up. And right now, it's the ball's really in anyone's park. I'm not sure who's responsible for all the signings. I'm not sure if this is solely a Triple H thing. I'm not sure if it's anything that's holding him back from saying yes to that 12 million ish salary that she was looking for. But it really is up in the air because she could go to New Japan, but New Japan's also in relations to AEW. Like they clearly communicate with one another. She could just show up over there, put on a star-studded performance, and been in contact with Tony Khan the entire time. And he's just like, "Yeah, Sasha, I love this Mercedes Monet thing that you got going on. This is money. You know what I mean? Like, tell me what number and I'm gonna cut you the check," because we know that Tony Khan got the bread. Like, we know he got the bread. Like it's really like a matter of like who's going to listen and give her what she wants. And I love this for her because I think I said this last week and this kind of shook the table. But I was saying that Sasha Banks' legacy is bigger than a Trish Stratus or what an AJ Lee did. And I say this mainly because like we never had like a woman come into so much power that wasn't meant to be in this much power. Like Trish Stratus, for example, I love her. I love her. I adore her. I adore her for everything she has done for women's wrestling. But when it comes to Trish Stratus, she was set up to be that girl regardless because we know that Vince has a certain type. He loved the way Sable looked. And when Sable's on the way out, Trish was kind of already there to fulfill that valet-ish eye candy position. And of course, Trish took it upon herself over time to fall in love with the business and learn the ropes and become this star that we know of today. And obviously, she has like lasting impressions on um other on future talents, you know what I mean? AJ Lee wasn't meant to be important. She just became important because like, she had some presence about her that was just so gravitating, so likable, so just relatable that people naturally just fell in love with her and they had to book her the way they were booking her because I mean, like you can't the fans dictate the business. The fans ultimately like we kind of make a decision on how shit's gonna go down for these wrestling shows. You know what I mean? Because if we don't like something, we won't let you know. You know, we saw that we like AJ, and they booked AJ, and yeah, she did what she did when it came to the whole whatchamacallit, give divas a chance movement. You know what I mean? She took her platform and in that short time frame that she was there in WWE, she did manage to create a big change to where, yeah, there's more focus being placed on divas and women in general and being taken seriously. So what they did in respect of their eras, I will definitely commend them for. I'm not saying that by any means that like they didn't do nothing for their era. But what they could have done in their eras with the restrictions they had, they definitely made impacts and they did pave the way for Sasha. But the thing about Sasha compared to the other two is that like if AJ Lee didn't leave and she actually continued wrestling, whether it was in another promotion or not, perhaps she would have had fans that followed. But the thing about Sasha is I never seen people so committed to someone to where they could leave and we're waiting like puppies at the door for her to come back. You know what I mean? It's like, where's Sasha? Where is Sasha? It's like, oh, she's doing CBD. Let me go ahead and follow this page. I don't give a I don't know nothing about it, but I'm gonna follow it just because I need to see what Sasha's doing. You know what I mean? She went ahead and she did the New York Fashion Week. I saw men tapping into that, men that don't even care about fashion tapping into that because it's Sasha Banks. We want to see what she's doing. You know what I mean? People heard she was making music, attempting to make music. They're over here investigating. When she tried to not post nothing on her social media for all these months or whatever, um, people were like trying to reverse search, trying to figure out her whereabouts. Like they love her, like they are obsessed with her, and that comes with the power of Sasha because she wasn't meant to be great. Out of the four horsewomen, you could tell that Vince wanted Charlotte at the top. He always wanted Charlotte at the top. And he always booked Sasha to be beneath or to uh, put over other talent that he wanted in the driver's seat, like Alexa or anyone that was that other equivalent. She wasn't meant to be that great. But the fans obviously connected with Sasha. We wouldn't give up on Sasha. And, it took her leaving and taking things upon herself for some changes to happen around here. Because, again, one thing I love about Miss Sasha Banks is she's not just for herself, she's for pro wrestling. You know what I mean? That's the biggest difference between her and this whole CM Punk hiatus thing. She left with a purpose. You know that when she's coming back because she's trying to elevate not only herself, but she's paving the way for black women as well, because again, she was not supposed to be at the top. She did not fit the criteria about what WWE likes in a top female talent. She did not fit that criteria at all whatsoever. But she has a presence that's so loud that could not be unheard. And now she's bigger than that company. And now you have three companies that are fighting for their lives, trying to get Sasha Banks in back into their corner, because they know, again, wherever she goes, they're losing a big chunk of fans. I know people that are hanging on by like their by like the skin of their teeth watching WWE because they're waiting for her to come back or they're waiting for Naomi to come back.
Mm-hmm.
That dedicated. We have not seen that with a female talent. She is just as big as like The Rock or John Cena, and it's like it's crazy. Like I'm mind boggled. I just it's like yo, she's powerful. She's really powerful. So I'm sorry to go off on a whole tangent, y'all, but it's just like I love her. Like I love everything that she's really been doing. Like I never seen a woman really just like take a hold of her life in the direction of her career, and like literally everyone is like waiting to see what's her next move because I want to be invested. I want to be invested. I want to follow on the journey. Trish hasn't done that. AJ Lee hasn't done that. Her legacy really is untouchable for the females, and I love that because she really like had set the bar so high with this that it's making other people think. It's making other people think, and we won't get into the Mandy situation because she kind of inspired her to think that all right, I don't really need this. I really don't need this. I could take what I did here, you know what I mean, and make more of myself. I could be more than just this box that I'm in with WWE. You know what I'm saying? Sorry, but on that whole entire tangent. It's just, bruh, like, damn, Sasha Banks, damn. I'm sorry. Mhm. Wow. Yeah. Mm. Right. It already had. Mm-mm. Mm-hmm. Jeez, just it's just an interesting time to be a pro wrestling fan, bro. Like I don't think I would ever have thought we would see the day that all the worlds would merge into one. I just I I'm so sorry. Um but no, I never thought we would see the day that all the wrestling promotions and worlds would just collide into one, and it's crazy because I mean we thought that our WrestleMania, with WWE was like the biggest show of the year. Like this, I don't think they're going to be able to top this. I don't think they're going to be able to top it. This might be like the biggest attraction of the entire year. Um, wow. But what do you think about it? Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. But don't you think that's bad business long term? Just because then there's no urgency to actually like sign to a certain promotion if everyone could just appear like once a year or a couple times a year. Mm. No to both. Like no to both. A lot of talents are a lot happier since he hasn't been here. Um, I feel like Triple H has done great things for the company since he's left. Um, I feel like Vince McMahon, he has a history of being a vile person. It doesn't shock me that more allegations are coming out, but he's ultimately too old anyways. But at least before he was a crappy person, but he knew good business and he could run a good show. And he's so far gone, he physically can't do it. He makes a lot of irrational decisions that ends up pissing off his own people that he works with and his writers. There's been many reports over the past couple of years of writers spending many hours in rooms and coming up with pieces, and then it gets to Vince McMahon and it essentially gets tossed out and they just go with whatever plan he comes up with few minutes before Raw or while Raw's airing, you know what I mean? Is that someone that we need as a boss? Is this what we want? You know what I mean? Because as far as I know, Tony Khan's significantly younger. I think he's in his 30s or his 40s, one or the other. Don't know how old is the person that runs New Japan, but they're obviously younger, fresher minds that are in tuned with what's going on in the world now in modern day wrestling. Vince is stuck in another era. I don't even think he even like remembers all the stuff he's accomplished. You know what I mean? He's just so disconnected with everything. And I think again it comes with being overworked and age and the stress of dealing with this. So he just needs to deal with that and just let it go. Let it go. It probably is hard for him because he identifies with it because literally like you're Vince McMahon. That's what we associate you with being the big boss of WWE. Like it's probably a lot. He's probably going through a lot of mental gymnastics with all these allegations and lawsuits here and stuff like that. But he just by no means needs to come back to WWE. God no. What do you think? It came out. It came out. Yeah. It's a wrap. Pass that over. I'm a fan of Roxanne. I think I said this on last week's podcast, but she's a great talent. She has a great look. She's very great in the ring. Um, and she knows how to hold her own for someone like so young and fresh in the business. Like she's obviously been on the indie circuit and whatnot, but she's still like a baby, and it's just like this is big for her. Like this is very big. Yes, being that the first Puerto Rican female to hold the NXT Women's Championship, but the fact that she's just so young and she's this good right now, it's just like imagine if you gave it time, you know what I mean, and let that wine age a bit. Like she is going to be, in my personal opinion, um, I could honestly see her being like on a four horsewoman level, definitely down the line, just because she there's something special about her. If she had the right gimmick, like you would see the full vision. But there's something very special about Roxanne, and I do think that it was well deserved that she won on Saturday. And it definitely caught me off guard that she won the belt so soon and dethroned Mandy. I thought they were going to play the long run, but surely enough, we're going to talk about why this might have happened. Um, Now, as far as Mandy goes, um, when Mandy first came to the WWE, I didn't really like pay her much mind. I thought, okay, just another blonde. Or she looks like Trish, so I see why she signed. You know what I mean? Did I watch her on Tough Enough? Yeah. But I don't even think I wanted her to win on Tough Enough. Not that I disliked her, it's just that no, she didn't win. The other girl won. I wanted Mandy to win out of the two. My bad, scratch that. But as far as Mandy goes, she had quite a journey on WWE, being like just eye candy, no other personality. Every feud she had just had to do with this is happening because I'm pretty. You know, with Naomi, this is happening because I'm fine. Your man can't keep his hands off of me. I think she tried to had a little feud with Liv Morgan or one of the Riot Squad members, and it was just like a very simplistic I'm prettier than you, or I'm better looking than you, or that you're ugly type of back and forth that they had. And with Otis, she was just more or less an eye candy to elevate Otis. And that's all she just did, which is kind of unfortunate because she wasn't ever a bad wrestler. They just didn't have anything like there to attach to this gorgeous woman to like get us to care. And when she went to NXT, at first I rolled my eyes. I was just like, oh, they could have put anyone else to lead a faction like Toxic Attraction. They could have went with Alexa. They could have went with Carmella. They could have went with someone who already has a personality. But I just found her to be um, someone that blew me away. Um, she definitely made me a believer over time. Because if you look at in the grand scheme of things, when it comes to Mandy, she took a very basic concept of looking the way she looked. She changed her gimmick just like that. She dyed her hair. She changed up her look. She came up with a faction, or at least WWE attached her to a faction. And I think that was the first ever female faction that we had really going in NXT, besides like the Four Horsewomen, or Shayna Baszler's little thing she had with the two MMA girls. You know what I mean? But she came up with a fresh faction that mixed a little bit of the old with the new. It gave you a little bit of Divas era, but it had an edge to it, which was very new. In her reign time, she put over many talents. Yeah, I know it was a long, hefty reign, but she elevated a lot of people. And I do want to say she did bring prestige with time to that title. Because again, not that many people were believing in her. They weren't. They thought that she was just going to do the same tire behind things she's doing the main roster. And over time, you watched growth in her character, where she went from being just a very blank easel to just being this poised bad bitch character. Like she just embodied just a badass bitch. Like, yeah, I'm cute. Yeah, I got the body. Yeah, you see my little booty cheeks out and whatever, this little fit or whatever. But I'm a V trigger your face, my knee into your face, bitch. You know what I mean? Like she like came in with this whole entire gimmick, and I felt like I didn't see the vision at first, but probably in the last couple months watching her and then really taking it in, she has to be one of the better championships we had in NXT history. Am I gonna say she's better than a Sasha or better than an Asuka or a Shayna? No. But respect to the era with how diabolic NXT was, with how schizophrenic it has been, she had to been probably one of the very few saving graces on that show. And she had a lot of contributions that I think got overlooked that we didn't really take in until just recently. So I'm proud of her. I'm proud that she decided to make that jump and go down into a very, funky looking situation in NXT because no one knew what was happening here. I don't think she even knew what was happening, but she went in there believing in herself, and she's a star. And it's unfortunate what had happened to her. Again, we're gonna get into what happened to her, but that was a very good reign, and it sucks. It sucks that this happened to her, man, because she was just a couple days from beating Shayna in terms of the length of her reign. I think she was shy of just a few days, and if they would have gave her one more week, she would have been up there. And I think that was the goal with her. I think that was the goal with her. Um, just yeah, I hope the best for her. I really do hope the best for her wherever she goes. She's white hot right now, so it's unfortunate that she had lost her title reign, but I think she should take full advantage on of her own empire that she created herself. Take some notes from Miss Mercedes Renardo, and she needs to go elsewhere. Like she needs to just take that. I think that with NXT, it's either it's 30 days or it's no, it's there's no clause there. It's either 30 days or zero. But that's more than enough time with how fresh everything is that had just recently went down for her to go like make some phone calls and just do a pop up. I think she's good. I think she's good wherever she goes with the way she built herself up with this title reign and creating her own little legacy. What do you think about Mandy Rhodes and Roxanne? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. That's fair.
Happen, and she turned herself into one of the premier um talents in WWE of all brands. And I believe that what happened in NXT molded her into the perfect women's wrestler for the American market. She had the in-ring capabilities, the in-ring storytelling, uh, that you would see from any top performer, and she had the sex appeal of Trish Stratus. And I believe that she had she Mandy definitely reminds me a little of Shawn Michaels. She's the heartbreak girl, right? Like from her poise.
I'm gonna actually be more calm about it. I'm gonna be more calm about it since it's been like a day because like it just pisses me off just because like there's a plethora of reasons why it pisses me off. It's just okay. Hey, I don't see what's the issue with people in this company. Like, what's the issue with this company and with people having their own like side hustles? You know what I mean? That's all how OnlyFans was, and I saw what the leaks were. I think everyone like was curious to see what was it about. And by the way, fuck you to the fan that still posted the shit, even though Mandy reached out to the DMs and politely asked for the leaks to be taken down. That was fucked up. It's not like she was just posting them shits. She opened it up and it was behind a paywall. And some asshole went ahead, paid for it, and like they knew that they were going to be risking her job by posting that, and they did. And that just really pissed me off because y'all don't respect women. Like y'all really don't fucking respect women. You should be happy that she even wanted to to get into this line of work, and she wanted to share that part of her life with you guys. And like, look what y'all do within the first fucking day of the shit dropping. Like, y'all are fucking disgusting. So that's one thing that pisses me off about this. Two, this fucking garbage company, because like I feel like if they're not making money off of it, they they don't want you doing anything. I mean, we saw this whole issue with Zelina Vega when she opened up an OnlyFans, or what other people when they had Twitch accounts. So what I mean, I feel like this company is so money hungry, and if they were profiting off of her having it too, you know what I mean? Then I feel like they probably would have let it slide. Thirdly, Mandy, Mandy having an OnlyFans only makes more sense to her and her character, because she's always been built as a sex symbol since literally Tough Enough through WWE. I just went on a whole tangent about how they had her coming out to like this goddess music and having her in slow motion. They were always sexualizing her. You know what I mean? How they had a whole storyline where she was butt ass naked in a well, she wasn't naked. She revealed herself in a ring gear underneath the towel, but like they always sexualized her, and it's just like, okay, I know I'm good looking and I'm not making that much money while I'm doing, at this point, being in NXT is like a passion project for her, which is fucked up, because again, she was on the main roster, she's been in this company for many years. I would imagine that if she went to NXT, there would have been like some type of conversation with her getting paid or trying to match the pay that she would get up there, considering that, yeah, she's going down here, but look at all the work she's doing while there's a clusterfuck down here in NXT. You know what I mean? And it's not like she did it off rip as soon as she went down to NXT. She put in like almost 2 years worth of work down there, sacrificing herself, her time, her body, um, trying to bring some prestige to this belt and doing everything that this company asks for. It just makes me upset, because it's just like all she was just trying to do is make a little extra money. And I don't know if she was struggling paying her bills with the fucking salary. I don't know what's the salary down in NXT. Do you know? Do you have any idea what the salary is? No. Well, obviously, it ain't enough if people are out here making OnlyFans. It's just like, what's the issue? Because in other companies like in AEW or whatnot, I think Tay Conti just recently opened up one, and they make good bread over there. You know what I mean? It's just like wrestling fans already sit there and sexualize them for free. I think it's brilliant for them to profit off of them. And I said this before months ago in the podcast that OnlyFans is honestly one of the most brilliant freaking platforms to ever drop for women, because men on the internet, or fans in general, don't know how to control themselves when it comes down to the female form. So I don't blame her for doing that, for opening up and doing it with her husband. It looked like she was having fun and enjoying herself, and she was just tapping into a different side of her. And again, it still made sense. It still would had made sense with her on-screen character. So to me, it was weird, and I thought that even if they had a disagreement or did breach a contract, it didn't seem like they gave her any room to at least have like a discussion about this or put some parameters on her content. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like something most definitely could have been worked out, but they were so quick to ask her. And it's just like, bruh, for how many years have y'all been sexualizing your women in the WWE? It gave me like China vibes off rip. It reminded me of when Triple H didn't want to induct China by herself into the Hall of Fame. Well, not Triple H, that Vince McMahon or Triple H made a comment on some podcast or some interview about his thoughts on China going to the Hall of Fame, and then he tried bringing up saying that if his daughter or son were to type in China into like the Google or whatnot, they're gonna see that type of stuff. And it's like, bruh, do I have to explain Sunny again? Do I have to explain Sunny again? Like, she's a documented racist, documented anti-Semitic. She actually has an OnlyFans too at this point in time. Don't know if it's active because since she's in jail for killing an old man. But she literally was around the time frame, even like when they gave her the Hall of Fame ring, she was still doing stuff online, and she was known to be very promiscuous with her body. You know what I mean? And it was like no secret to anyone. This is before OnlyFans came out, that she was over here using her body and profiting off her body, or just doing just salacious things with her fans. You know what I mean? And like this girl got a Hall of Fame ring, and then it's going back to China. It's just like, you really just like washed out her whole entire legacy and everything she done brought to the table because of something she did in a phase that she was going through in a midst of probably like a mental breakdown. Like when you type in China into the motherfucking keyboard, all I see is just WWF WWE shit from China. You know what I mean? It's really like not at the top of your list unless you actually are typing in certain type of titles to find that China content. So like the idea of just like canceling her because not canceling her, firing her because it's not good for a PG concept, or that if you look up Mandy Rose, it's gonna come up and that's not good for business or for our stocks or da da da. It's bullshit. She's a grown ass woman. Let her do what she wants to do with her body. You know what I mean? If anything, it would have actually helped the company. That could have been a nice door. If they would have had an agreement with her and said that, hey, you could keep it, let's keep some parameters on this bitch. That actually could have been a nice little door with WWE. Because look at the way it's been working out in AEW. People are very much happy over there. You know, having full range of what they could do with themselves and marketing herself. She probably just wanted to do another business move. And that could have been a beautiful thing if they just would allow her to do that. And I just feel like it's weird because in some cases I do see growth with WWE, but I do see in other ways that they do like to keep their talents like on a tight leash. And I just thought it was cruel. I thought it was messed up. She took it like a champ. I know that had to suck to know that you invested so much into this company, so much into your character. Your body has been through hell, and she also, by the way, experienced the death of her brother very recently, bro. I could only imagine what was going through her head that she literally did all this for nothing. But at the same time, I look at it as a blessing in disguise because they got rid of her when she was or is white hot. And like I said before, if they don't got a clause or it's 30 days or less, she really could appear anywhere. She could have appeared on AEW last night when Paige said she was looking for a partner. And that's still possible. That's still possible. They could get Absolution back together right now, and she could be the draw. Perhaps she could go to AEW right now. If she makes that phone call right now, or Tony Khan makes that phone call right now, you know, we could see her dethrone Jade Cargill, and it would make sense because of how she built herself up in NXT. You know what I mean? Like she's that girl over there. You know, she could really, like I said, be taking notes from Sasha at this point, and it's like, all right, you guys are gonna remove me off of this? Fuck that. Fuck that. Fuck you. I'm gonna take Mandy Rose or Amanda, rebrand myself, and I'm gonna take this elsewhere, and I'm gonna be that girl. I'm still gonna be that girl. Like you can't just box me in. Do you have a point? Hello? I don't hear you. Are you muted? I thought something was wrong with my headphone. I was like, oh no, we're not going through this again. I'm sorry. Start it over, Jordan. Oh Lord. Whew. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Tony. Go on. Go on. Go on. Mm. Yep. Yo.
I think that the problem at hand was the fact that all of these things were meant to be private in the sense of this was an interpersonal thing. I think that was only supposed to be kept between certain people. Whereas Manny's content was just like, I'm gonna do this publicly, but I would really blow. Um, but I think this is more about an optics issue than it was a morality issue. Because no, 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 we understand that the whole WWE Playboy and all this other stuff,
Right?
and I don't think that it was, I think that honestly the way that people who have approached it are, but I feel like since it is a physical deal, kind of for the nature of it all, right? Like once again, Matt Riddle tested positive for drugs. This is the second time. He's not being released from the company. He also had sexual assault allegations. There's multiple people in the company that have had sexual assault men,
Yep.
specifically men, who have had rape allegations, sexual assault allegations put against them. For the love of God, Jimmy Uso got a DUI, and then the next week pops up on TV and got a tag team championship and on the tag titles.
Yep.
So for you to have a company have people that have multiple allegations of abuse, of rape, of sexual assault, and they're still in the company. Some are in prominent positions in the company, and then you fire Mandy Rose for posting adult content behind a pay-per-view. I think it's wrong. I think it's wrong, and I think it's disgusting, and like even down to like the whole like my bad. I just want to trigger all my anger towards
Now you on a roll.
because
Keep going.
I think it's wrong, and the fact that there have been things pointed out of Charlotte on the body issue of ESPN, and I don't think that like that was a different presentation of the female form, and I think that because it was something that was more pop culture friendly and something that wasn't necessarily sexually suggestive, she gets more grace for it. However, that doesn't change the fact that there is a double standard being created in this situation, that there is a form of misogyny, that you are sending an implicit message that we can sexualize you, and the moment that you understand the power of your sexuality and profit off of it, separate and apart from us, then we have to take action that doesn't benefit you in any way. So I think it's unjust. I think that it's wrong. I also think that now they're saying, well, before it was saying that like WWE is open to Mandy Rose returning. Oh no, sis is not. I would be surprised if sis came back. If I'm Mandy Rose and I'm looking at the professional wrestling landscape and I'm realizing Tay Conti's in AEW doing what she want to do, I'm realizing there's people of all different forms of companies doing what they want to do, and like having their OnlyFans accounts, having their fan time accounts, doing all that. I'm I'm looking to leave. You just released me, the woman who held down one of your brands for 413 days. You built a new faction. You became the face of a company who is now quite hot because now there's all this press and there's all this speculation surrounding me, and you think I'm just going to try to go back to being a heel.
They shot themselves in the foot.
You shot yourself in the foot, bro. Like, you played yourself. If anything, if anything, and I understand it's an optics issue, you have a PG product, but there's just certain things you could have just suspended her. Suspended her for
Yeah.
30 days, put her through the sensitivity training, something, and she would have been, and at least you still would have been able, from a business perspective, to still be able to control the Mandy Rose narrative and still be in a position where she can garner you money in the future. But by firing her, you just told the wrestling world, hey, y'all want a women's champion who you want a woman who can be a women's champion, the face of your brand, and have sex appeal and is white hot right now, and that can appeal to that 18 to 45, 49 male demographic. Y'all want that here for free.
Hmm.
Here you go, free.
Yep.
You can have her. That's bad business.
And then people are not gonna really want to invest in this company if they can see if that's how they're willing to do Mandy. Like as you just said, she's the face of a whole brand. Like, you think that's gonna make people want to like extend their contracts? Like, people are asking what's Gigi and JC gonna do. They probably are thinking about joining their girl wherever she goes because that probably makes them feel very uncomfortable. You know what I mean? It probably makes a lot of females feel uncomfortable. You know what I mean? It was one thing when it happened with Zelina because she was at a lower level. And I don't think she really was doing much of anything besides still being like a valet or something like that. But like, for your on-screen women's champion that's been on pay-per-view after pay-per-view after pay-per-view nonstop, no breaks, nothing unless she got an injury or whatnot. That's insane. If I was a female in WWE, that would make me think twice about how hard I want to like commit myself to this company, to my character, to chasing that belt, because I could be taken away just like that. Like, they shot themselves in the foot in so many ways. Go ahead. Go ahead. Mhm. Mhm. Twice.
I was gonna say, did you have anything else to say?
Nah, that was very well put. Just, man, this company's in the dumps, bro.
It's
Like,
not in the
they're
dumps,
really in the
but
dumps.
they're not in the dumps. They're doing a lot of things well, but there's still a lot to have for them to figure out, and they're just gonna have to figure it
It's
out. But
just, you just helped out AEW so much, and it's insane. Like, their turnaround since the medium scrum is actually really insane.
literally like night and day. But moving
Yeah.
on, but moving on. So speaking of women's wrestlers, Mia Yim deactivated her Twitter. She posted a picture of being held by Austin Theory, and it was heavily scrutinized online. Because she's married to Keith Lee. I don't know if you've caught wave of this, but I wanted to know your impressions or your thoughts because I thought this was another very, very interesting situation.
Um, All right, how do I go about this? I mean, was I like cracking jokes in private? Yeah, but I wasn't like taking nothing above this seriously. Do I think it's personally awkward objectively looking at a photo and seeing a woman have her legs wrapped around another man that isn't her man when she's married? That was a little bit odd, but every friendship is different. Am I a fan of Austin Theory in, as a person? Not quite, not at all. Um, but I feel like the part that I guess bothers me the most about it. I'm assuming if she did that and she posted the picture and she posted like a professional shot photo, it looked like, WWE's camera crew took a picture of it. I would assume if she was that bold to do that, then she has a different relationship with her husband, to where they could they could express themselves as they like with their friends if there isn't anything weird going on. I don't know what was the comments that was being said about Mia Yim, but if I could have just imagine based off of how toxic Twitter is, they probably blamed her more than Austin Theory, or they
Yep.
probably be inappropriate jokes saying that like they're probably doing what like behind closed doors, or actually not even behind closed door, in front of Keith's face or whatnot, and they probably most likely blame Mia more so than Austin Theory, which it tends to be like that in every single situation. Like the female always gets blamed for all this stuff. And personally, when I looked at it, yeah, I cracked a few jokes, but I didn't think they were anything more than friends. Anything more than just being friends. The fact she had to deactivate is really sad, man. It's really sad because a lot of fans don't know how to mind their business. But then you can also make the argument that, oh, well, she puts her business out there that she's married to Keith. She should respect him. It's just like, that's not up to you to decide what's respect and not respect in that relationship. It's
Mm-hmm.
not. It's between the two of them, and they're going to deal with it the way they want to deal with it. Again, I'm assuming that she just posted it, that Keith is cool with it, and he's probably used to it or has seen stuff like this before from Mia, and that he probably knows of their bond. Best friends or regular friends express themselves in all types of ways. It's just another matter of people needing to mind their own motherfucking business. And this is why wrestlers don't like sharing their lives with us, because they give us an inch and we run a mile with that bitch. And yeah, some people could have just been cracking jokes just to crack jokes, but these people have feelings at the end of the day. She probably posted that picture thinking that, oh, here's me with my buddy. Yeah, it's a controversial figure or whatnot. But yeah, here's me with my buddy. Ha ha ha, guys, look at us. And then people literally just flipped it and twisted it. And we don't even know what that probably could have turned into. We don't know if
Right.
they caused an argument to happen between Keith Lee and Mia, which is fucked up. It's really fucked up because I'm sure that wasn't her intention. You know what I mean? You all
Mm-hmm.
probably made her question herself as a woman, because I don't know what Mia's history is like with herself or her relations with men before. I had heard many things, but I'm not going to comment on things because at the end of the day, she's a grown ass woman. That's her own motherfucking body. She's entitled to do what
Right.
the fuck she wants to do with it. At the end of the day, no one should be policing their marriage. All right? That's up to them. Leave that woman the fuck alone. I'm sick of you guys on Twitter trying to be the police of everyone's relationship and clocking people on this and that. It's none of your business. Why do you care?
Right.
Baby, why do you care? That's not your walls being beat up. It's not your dick getting sucked. Why do you care?
I
Like
I
y'all piss me off.
I'm a
Go
jump in on
ahead.
I'm gonna jump in on this. If it's not your business, why do you care? Like, if it's not your marriage, why do you care? It like at the end of the day, most of these cats that are on Twitter talking about these people don't even be in relationships, but want to have agency over somebody else's. And it boggles my mind that you don't know the details of Keith Lee and Mia Yim's marriage. You don't even really care about Keith Lee and Mia Yim's marriage. You don't really care about the friendship between Austin Theory and Mia Yim. You just see an opportunity to absolutely try and publicly humiliate somebody else. That's what it is. And that's the reason why I draw such an ire to it, is because this is not about the friendship between Austin Theory and Mia Yim. This is not about between the marriage of Keith Lee. If y'all was so concerned about the marriage between Keith Lee and Mia Yim, how many of y'all were congratulating them when they got married? Probably none of y'all. Probably none of y'all were there congratulating them on their marriage or when they got together. Y'all just see an opportunity to publicly humiliate another woman, and then you take, and because you do it for, and y'all do it for everybody else. Y'all do it for any and every woman that tries to get online and tries to make something of herself. You like, and this is the reason why I draw such an issue to it, is because number one, you don't know the details of their marriage or their relationship, and I would assume that that's something that was talked about between them before it even reached the internet, and it was already cool with them. But two is that a lot of y'all want to have a moral compass and talk about how inappropriate stuff is, but in reality, your intentions aren't to hold people accountable. your intentions are to make fun of other women and disrespect and humiliate other women, especially women of color. Because when anytime a woman of color does something in public, it's everybody's news. It's everybody's business. Everybody want to chime in. Everybody want to contribute. But had this, I swear this would not have happened with Alexa or Carmella or any of them. But I just my issue
It
is
happened
just
with Carmella. She had a whole cheating situation.
I didn't know that she had a whole
Wasn't
cheating
she the other
situation.
woman?
Huh?
Doesn't that wasn't Corey Graves? Corey Graves cheated on his wife with Carmella.
With
That was way
Carmella.
years ago.
With years. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. But at the same time, it's like I like it's once again, it's none of your business. It's none of your
It's
business. It's
not.
not your marriage, it's not your relationship. And everybody has different rules and regulations and processes about their relationship. And guess what? It's completely their business. And it's not up to y'all or us for us to have any agency over that. So I definitely want to send my love to Mia Yim because I know how
Yeah, she's
unfortunate and
okay.
how annoying that can be. But moving on. So on Thursday, WrestleVotes reported that the waves of rehired talent by Triple H brought back has underperformed and underwhelmed Triple H. Do you believe that the talent Hunter has brought back into the company has been of value to the company?
Mm, hold on. I believe that the talent Hunter brought back into the company has been of value. I'll be honest. He brought back to me some people that I think are a little useless. Like, okay, with Io and Dakota Kai, great selections. Love what he's doing. Love the fact that he paired them as a faction with Bailey. However, um, they kind of sizzle out kind of fast, not because they're underperforming, but because the women's division has already been in shambles that it's not going to take just one person to fix it. You know what I mean? Like there's so
Right.
much work to clean up with the women that it unfortunately made them suffer. I think that if they went to NXT, where over there, they would have had more women to play with because they had more characters and stuff like that, and introduced them around there. Maybe they would have had a different experience. I mean, they could have just like tussled with Toxic Attraction or whatnot, just to bring more interest or whatnot. But he had the right idea. He most certainly had the right idea with the signs that he had. It's just that you need star power at this point. You can't just bring in other side names that had their first run in WWE that some people either didn't know because they didn't watch NXT or they kind of flopped in their run in NXT. So it's coming off like they're just throwing in names and they're just throwing shit at the wall and trying to make it stick. But do I think that the individual talents are underperforming? Absolutely not. I just think that they're scrambling and they're going to continue to scramble until if Sasha or Naomi choose to come back, and they work around that, or Charlotte comes back. Like they need like a big name to come out to work with the newer talents. That's how you get them over, right? It's like with
Right.
Chris Jericho and that the Jobber from last night. That literally last night they had Jobber chants. I forgot what it was, but like
Let's
that's how
go,
you normally
Jobber.
do it when
Yeah.
you're bringing people back. Yeah, that's what it was. Let's go, Jobbers. You know what I mean? That's how you normally do it. And yeah, they attached them to Bailey, so that already gave them shine. But the talent that they were working with, it was just like, like you attach Bianca to Alexa, which you have the right idea with Oscar, but next to Alexa, like how was that gonna that faction don't make a sense. Therefore, this feud don't make a sense, which means that I won't care as a fan.
Mm.
So I don't want to blame Hunter for this one. I don't. It's just like you can't be mad at somebody for trying to like slowly build back together something that's had no organization, no nothing. It's gonna take time. So I
Mm-hmm.
don't think people should pass judgment so fast. Like it's gonna take a year before we can actually revisit this conversation. What do you think?
I agree wholeheartedly. I think, and not just with the women, but just in general, right? Like they brought back Braun, they brought back Hit Row, they brought back Tegan Knox, they brought back so many different names, and all of these people can be of value to the company. And I think that they have performed as best as they could, but I feel like WWE is still in a rebuilding mode under Triple H because you have to undo what Vince did and then you have to build on top of a new foundation. And I feel like that's across all boards because Vince, you know, all intents and purposes, he kind of destroyed Hunter's baby with NXT and made it NXT 2.0. So now that has to be rebranded and redone. Then Raw has to be rebranded and redone. Then SmackDown has to be rebranded and redone. And you have to continue to build on the things that were already successful and continue to make those work while restructuring everything else. I don't think that that's necessarily a talent problem. And also just bringing in talent and just seeing what works and what doesn't work. I feel like there's so many cases where they have elements of something, but they need something else. For example, Hit Row needs a leader. We'll talk about that at a later show and a later date. But I think that there are so many cases in which there are elements of something there, but there's just something missing, or there's just something that needs to be added to it to give it a little bit more oomph. But those are things that can be discovered and dealt with over time. So I don't want to make it seem as if it's impossible or that this is a talent issue. It takes a team, right? They say teamwork makes the dream work, and I feel like in this case there are multiple facets of a team that have to come together to make certain things work, especially when it comes to the restructuring and the rebuilding of WWE. So that's just my little take on it. And last but not least, a report began to circulate a couple of days ago that Kevin Owens made a pitch for a Shawn Michaels match. How would you feel about seeing Kevin Owens and Shawn Michaels in the ring?
I don't want to see Shawn Michaels ever again. Let me say this. I'm sorry. I'm leaning back. Let me say this again. I don't think I want to see Shawn Michaels inside of a ring ever again. I'm sorry. Um, I can't even say he's a caricature of his former self because he looks nothing like his former self. And like it
Mm,
sounds really fucked up to say, but I'm gonna say it because it's how I feel. Um the Shawn Michaels I grew up with, all right, was charming. He had like the flowing hair. He did not have a lazy eye, or at least maybe he had a lazy eye on the way out. He had the build going on. It went with the sexy boy gimmick, all right? Like you can't help but to attach the two together. And now when I see him, he looks like someone's granddad or like first uncle. Like all the pictures I see him hugging the people that he trained, man. And I'm just like, damn, like, would it sound great, had he looked the way he looked before? If I was imagining a Shawn Michaels from 10 years ago, 15 years ago,
mm.
I'd be down. I'd be down. But man, after I watched what went down in Crown Jewel with Brothers of Destruction versus DX, I never want to see a bald Shawn Michaels. And I think he's not even bald right now. I think he just has like a bald patch in the middle of his head, with, like little hairs on the side, like a Q-tip. And it's just like I don't want I don't want to see that. That honestly ruined my childhood. Like normally, like bringing back a legend is supposed to like ignite something in your childhood, and that nostalgia factor. Now that shit killed it. That shit stomped it right the fuck out. I was like, damn, I'm
Mm.
old because that's how old this man looks. He's that fucking old that I feel old, and it's not even that. It's not even that. But as like two entities would have been great. Visually, I don't want to see it. Someone out there wants to see it. I don't want to see it. What do you think?
I personally, I wouldn't be opposed to it just because we've seen Kevin Owens and Stone Cold and it was doper than we expected it to be.
He looks like Stone Cold still.
Yeah, but still, I you know what it is? I will never ever. Shawn Michaels to me is one of the greatest of all time. And regardless of what shape he's in or what he looks like, um, I'll still be down to see a Shawn Michaels in ring match. That man is just, he's so goated and he's so good. And I feel like it would be very, very interesting to see how they go about it. But I think that I would be interested in seeing that. But once again, the path to it is what intrigues me. How are we going to get there? But you know, we'll see about that. But a Kevin Owens Shawn Michaels match isn't exactly the worst idea, especially if Kevin Owens is still going to talk down on Texas and all that. If that is a thing that he wants to return to, that can be a path towards it. But I still think that Shawn Michaels is one of the greatest of all time, one of the most influential, easily the most influential of our generation, considering how many of these cats is just throwing super kicks left and right. Just God, just. But I
I want him
wouldn't
to
be
super kick the Young Bucks.
no,
That's what I
but
need.
I think that it's just something that would intrigue me and that would interest me, and that's really all I have to say about that. But how would y'all feel about a Kevin Owens Shawn Michaels match? I would personally like it. I don't know if anybody else would, but I would be intrigued by it. But that concludes our show for today. Thank you guys so much for joining episode 21. I know this is another banger, another long one, but we will see you guys next week. Bye, 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 bye.